Okay, I'm not sure where we left off, but at least I think it was about that at least before I became traumatized, even though I didn't really have any hope of finding anyone again, although I kind of did. Okay, I kind of did. At least I had my spirituality then. And that was something that actually surprised me, and it actually gave me all the feelings of being in love. And that was the most significant thing about it. That it actually didn't make me lonely anymore. It was actually better than being in love, for real. If you've ever been in love, for the first time when I was in love, I was about 21. But then really, that was just kind of the appetizer to it. It was with Chelsea, and then when Chelsea came back when I was 28, that's when it really happened. And that was the most mind-blowing experience of my life. It was the best feeling of my life. And then when I found spirituality after that, it was even better than being in love. And I thought, oh, Chelsea can take a hike. Who gives a shit? And it was truly like I had found everything I had ever been searching for. On DMT, on acid, on MDMA, on drugs, anything chemical, it surpassed it. The chemicals were just a shock to my system to give me a kind of automatic meditation. Something to snap me out of my normal thinking, to stop my mind for a bit so I could have access to my being. And I would have a sort of substitute spirituality, a fake spirituality through drugs. And ultimately I learned then that I had a fake spirituality through love as well, through falling in love, through chemical infatuation, through biology, which we need to distinguish between those two versions of love. The version of chemical infatuation and love as defined as spirituality. Or spirituality is what love leads to, because love dissolves your ego, and once that's dissolved, then you're spiritual. So that's why people are afraid of love. So love is really the gateway to spirituality. And so when I had my love reach the highest peaks, then I went to even the next level, which was spirituality. And then from there, I was having a really, really good time. I used to basically have to pinch myself every day to say, my life is so awesome. This can't be real. How good I feel is so good. I've suffered for so long and I feel so good. And it gave me a comfort. It reminded me truly that what I was searching for my whole life was not my eternal lover, which is what you think. Which, if you've not found spirituality, truly the thing you think you're searching for is your lover. You think you're searching for the perfect person just for you. That just for you, there's someone. That someone was made just for you. No, that's not true. As Dad says, who I'm not sure if we've disowned each other, you have multiple receivers and transmitters, and you can transmit on certain levels, and you can receive on certain levels. And someone who transmits on certain levels can't transmit to every level that you can receive on. And the levels that you transmit aren't going to be all received by one person. Maybe there's some far out channels, like channel 5000. Barely anyone's on that channel. You might find one person who's on that channel and they get you on that super far out rare channel, but they don't get you on channel 7 on basic cable. They might be a head in the clouds type of person, airy fairy. They can understand the channel 5000, but they can't understand the basic channel. They're like a spaceship in outer space, but they're not like a bullet cart or a car. And to think that you're going to find someone who has every single channel that you have is basically fear. You're basically searching for someone to take away the loneliness. You're basically searching for a parent. Which is why it's a superior method to be polyamorous. Because if someone reaches you on a certain level, but not another level, find someone else who reaches you on the other level. Like, I'm a skinny guy. Some girls like skinny guys. I like lots of types. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a Clydesdale, and sometimes I'm in the mood for a petite. But just having one or the other, well, that would just be horrifying. And why would you need to have only one or the other? Now, of course, I'm being gang-stalked. I don't even have anyone, okay? But, I mean, theoretically. And before I was traumatized, I actually did have multiple girlfriends. Long term, I had 2, and indirectly I had more. But there were, sometimes could have counts. It was I could have lived with multiple girlfriends. And in a sense, I did. And it was great. I would see my other girlfriend, who was way smarter than my girlfriend, a musical genius. My girlfriend had the worst music ever, and she would get like 100 likes on her video and no dislikes, and she'd sing, "Do you know that my eyes are green? In the morning I crave ice cream." Like, maximally retarded. And I had another girlfriend who was actually a musician, a real professional musician, who I would listen to her music on my MP3 player, which I think got stolen by gangstalkers. And it was amazing. I thought, holy fuck, I can't even tell you how good this is, because you don't even know. You're so good that you don't even know how good you are. And after I'd be with her, I'd think, oh my God, thank God. You know what her job was? She wrote essays to cheat people through university. You'd pay her and she'd write the essay for you and get a good mark. And she had a really hot boyfriend. And I said, monogamy is psychopathic, right? And she said, I can't believe you know that. She's like, I thought you were actually so stupid that I'm embarrassed to have sex with you. She said, how do you know that? And we got talking about it, and she said her favorite boyfriend would basically dump her for not being monogamous. And she was like, I can't do it. He is the love of my life, but I can't fucking do it. And she had this other boyfriend who was very obviously gay. He would hang out with us all the time. He was gay for my roommate, Travis. And our joke about him was Travis would be in the bathroom peeing, and this guy, Matt, he would crawl into the bathroom while Travis is peeing and say, oh, I just lost something on the ground. Can I sniff around for it? And he said to my girlfriend once, I think you're hot even though you have acne. I bet you can't believe that, right? Oh my God. This guy was fucking lame. He was nice enough. He was a musician too. But he was nowhere near the other girl. He was just like a bass player or something. She was a singer. She had a band, and anyways, so before I had a breakdown from all the stresses getting to me from this scale, how 1 point leads, if you have a certain amount of points per year, it leads to a breakdown. Well, I had so many points, so many honks, so many people bumping into me, so many people following me, filming me, so many arguments, so many mistreatments, so many people ripping me off, to some extent hacking our webcam, things like that. Just fucked up things. People gaslighting me. I eventually had a complete breakdown, and I lost all that. And I also lost the hope of ever having it again. But I can say I have had incredible relationships with gang stalkers, absolutely incredible. And I used to have a real hope. I used to have literally, I've had sex with 3 girls who are perfect 10s, and 2 of them have been my long-term relationships who would have had babies with me. And so otherwise I've had sex with 20-something people, and, I think I'm doing okay. I think I was doing okay, but that was like 10 or 15 years ago. The last time I had sex, I was probably 29 or 30, and I'm 38 now. And at this point, if I knew I could, I probably wouldn't, because I don't want to go through that suffering again. And who knows if I could, but I probably wouldn't, because it was so painful for me. I've just been turned off forever. And so at least, and it was partially Chelsea who did that, but I had a relationship after her, but I never took that one seriously. I was just like, okay, you're just a friend, and that's all it ever is. I'm not going to fall in love with you because you have concave hips, so it's not like I have a crush on you. And it was a great friendship. It lasted a couple years. We never fought. We hung out every weekend, and she was a gang stalker too. But after that, I just thought, okay, I'm just never doing this again. This is just too much. I think on some level I felt she was a gang stalker, and it disturbed me. And so after her, then I went into spirituality, and it erased a lot of the pain of loneliness. It erased all the pain of loneliness. It made me feel like I was in love all the time. Like, instead of being in love with the person, I was in love with everything. And Chelsea said that. She said, "You'll find me in all things." And I sarcastically said it back to her. I was like, "Yeah, you too." As if I'm the love of your life, which I'm clearly not. But maybe I am. Considering that she always hid her body. She has like a super hot face, but her body's not really that hot. And I think I may have exaggerated how hot she is, and basically also had a trauma bond with her. Chelsea might be the first trauma bond I had, because she was telling me, "Hey, I saw you in public," when I was like 22. "Hey, I was just out in public in Toronto, I saw you." And I'm thinking, why didn't you tell me? I think I subconsciously knew she was stalking. I think she may have been my first trauma bond. I actually think Chelsea is my first trauma bond. And by undoing it with Dance Girl and Blonde Girl, I'm actually leading back. I'm unraveling the thread that goes all the way back to really Jen in high school, but I never really fell in love with her. But really to Chelsea. She was the first one I really loved. And it's actually really good. I figured it out. It's actually like, I don't know whether it's luck or whether it's persistence and intelligence and perception, but figuring it out is really important. And I've considered, if someone is gang stalked and they don't know it, is it better to tell them? Because once they know, they're going to have more stressors in their life. Because once you know that people are breaking in your house and you see the signs of it, that's going to add a lot of stress to your life. Or once you know that the cars that are honking outside your house are actually honking explicitly to coerce you into, that's going to be stressful. The intent of it matters. If you think it's just random, that's not going to hurt you. But when you know that someone's deliberately parking outside as a threat, when you decode the message saying that we're going to kill you, when you understand that that's what the message is, that's going to add a lot of stress to your life. And so I've even considered, if there's certain people who I know who are gang stalked, would it be better not to tell them? Because it's going to fuck their life up. They're going to have way more stress. Personally, I would want to know. And personally, I've also really suffered since knowing too. Just because I know doesn't mean it takes away the trauma. Sometimes if you're traumatized and you live like that for so long, it can be hard to ever get back who you were. Like Robin Williams said, he used to be happy, and then he did a bunch of cocaine for a bunch of years, and he spent the rest of his life trying to get back to who he was when he was happy. Sometimes I do wonder, maybe I'm permanently destroyed as a human being. But back before I was traumatized, I can absolutely remember that when I did not take care of my body, I would say if you didn't take care of your body, you literally would not have access to your spirituality for real. And that would be something as simple as jacking off that morning. If I jacked off that morning, especially 2 jacks, ate some cooked food, gone. I would be sitting in the shower for like 40 minutes going, where is my spirituality? Let me get it back, please, let me get it back. And I couldn't get it back. So, am I healed at this point? I think so. And I'm just too weak to know it. So therefore, could I get back to being healthy again? I think so. Would I really like that? Yes. Is that the only potential to have a relationship as well? Yes. Because clearly you can't have a relationship when you're drunk or when you're fucked up, you know, because when you're stupid, you're going to have a million miscommunications, because stupid means EQ. And what goes first? Let's just have a little health session. What is the first thing to get destroyed when you're unhealthy? It's your kidneys. When you have a heart attack, that actually means kidney disease. What's the second thing that gets destroyed when you're unhealthy? What sits right above your kidneys? We're going to go up the ladder with gravity going down. What's the next thing right on top of your kidneys? Your adrenals. What happens when your adrenals fail? You're going to have adrenal fatigue, which means depression and anxiety, which means emotional stupidity, which means you can't handle a relationship. Which is the reason why when someone is more beautiful than you, they're out of your league. Because they don't have adrenal fatigue yet. Now that's painting with a really wide brush. But if we can say that beautiful people are more physically healthy, that would be an accurate hypothesis. And then you can also say beautiful people are treated better. So they have more reserves of energy. They're not being taken for granted so much. They have more validation. They have more people protecting them. They have more money. So they have the ability to not be so stressed out. If you dump them, it'll take them 20 seconds to find someone new. They're not in a rut. So if you want to date someone beautiful, you have to be emotionally healthy. Even if, which there is, a matriarch, and you're as hot as the girl, but situationally, due to men being oppressed, you have to have a higher EQ than your girlfriend who's as hot as you. That's just the sad fact of life, and you might have to do it. So is that to say just get healthy so you can have a girlfriend, and say really the real reasons for spirituality? Yeah. But also remember the caveat that once I became spiritual, which came from being healthy, my relationship with myself was not lonely anymore. And I felt then I'm so happy I truly could have a good relationship. Just like I had one with Sub-Zero, who is my most previous person I had sex with, assuming I wasn't raped while I was asleep. And why did I have a good relationship with her? Because she had concave hips and I never gave a shit. So therefore, to have someone hotter, and Sub-Zero was great, you know, I still was into all that nasty stuff, you know, it was still fun, you know, she just had to squeeze my balls a little harder than someone normal. She would literally said, I'm squeezing them as hard as I could. Like, I actually can't squeeze harder. And I have been afraid to look at my balls ever since then. Like, she actually did serious damage. And she was great, really. But well, I'd like someone with wider hips, to be honest. Her face was great, you know. I'd like her and other people, really. She satisfied a itch too. There was a certain thing about her that I said, you're the best. I'm really not joking. You're the best. I'd come over, she'd have the weed all out. She'd say, here you go. She'd say, I got food for you. I have everything for you. It was just, she was the fucking best. She was, a prostitute, and she had a day job too. But as a prostitute, you know how to treat a guy. You really know how to treat a guy. And she gave me the luxury treatment. I didn't pay her. That should be obvious. But I mean, she treated me like I mattered. And I said, you are the fucking best. She ordered me non-vegan food once by accident. She's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine. Like, lots of people wouldn't even care. She took it seriously that I was vegan. And ultimately, she basically tried to make me quit smoking weed. She's like, you're an addict and you need help. And I was like, okay, right, sure, yeah. I'm not the one who is an addict. You're the one who goes to outpatient rehab for drinking. And, oh, you know what? But she had a point too. You know what? My current self would say you should actually listen to her. I would actually listen to her at this point, because my weed self did not know that weed actually sucks. And I smoked weed for 10 years. And my current self is like, man, you are really better off that you don't smoke weed anymore. You would have wasted your whole life smoking weed. And really, the reason why you smoke weed is because it gives you a dream. It gives you enhanced mental power. So when you fantasize about having sex and you crank off your little pecker, or you fantasize off about being really powerful and everyone loves you or something like that, it feels more real when you're high. And so really, weed is like a sexual thing. It's like it gives you the illusion that your fantasies are actually true. It makes it feel more real. Afterwards, you wouldn't want to eat, or you wouldn't want to have sex, you wouldn't want to do anything before you smoke weed, because it gives you this sense of importance or something. So if I'm traumatized now, which I'm not sure I am, I think I may have gotten over it. But if I am, the trauma may just be that I'm aware of being gang stalked, which adds a lot of stress onto me. But it could just be the fact that I have adrenal fatigue, and therefore I'm in a constant state of anxiety and depression. But certainly letting go of Stockholm Syndrome, undoing my Stockholm Syndrome, is certainly a really good thing. I really, really didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to do this. And after I did, just like with my ex-pig, like my main girlfriend when I was in my 20s, who I lived with, who really is Chelsea, but the one who I lived with, when we broke up, it was so painful. It was like I was actually in pain for years. I was in pain for like 2 years. Like literally, I was actually in deep pain for like 2 years. When you sleep with someone every night, you hang out. We did webcamming together, so we worked together. So we spent literally 24/7 together. And when you suddenly lose that, and they betray you in such a horrible way, it's really painful. But before that was happening, I was already thinking, God damn, I'm lonely with you. I'm so lonely with you. And I always chalked it up to, you should just be a better girlfriend and I won't be lonely. You should just buy me a gift or show me that you love me, and then I won't be so lonely. But really, that wasn't it. Really, the real problem was I couldn't get all my needs met through her. She was loving, she was caring, she was not able to, her music sucked. Can you see that my eyes are green? Can you fall in love with someone like that? When you have a musician girlfriend who's actually a real musician, who doesn't even get the same acknowledgement. The person who's far better doesn't even get the same acknowledgement. And I'm like, oh man, I'm lonely as fuck with you. And I feel really proud when we go out and you wear something slutty and some other girl calls you a slut and guys are ogling at you. And I'm thinking, yeah, and I'm walking around like, yeah, I'm amazing. And meanwhile, when we have sex, I'm watching porn of someone else. And I'm just feeling lonely as fuck. And so finally, when we broke up, it was really painful. But in hindsight, oh, thank God. Thank God. And she couldn't have done it because she couldn't have been with me long term because she was polygamist. She would never admit it, but she was polygamist. She was a queen, so to speak. That's not a good thing. She was a queen. She like the queen, the Red Queen in the Mad Hatter movies. Boil him alive in acid. He ate my cream tart. Boil him alive. She wanted to have her options. We had an open relationship, and she still cheated on me. Just by literally keeping it secret. We were supposed to tell each other whenever we'd have someone else. She fucking didn't tell me. And when she cheated on her boyfriend with me, I'll bet she didn't tell him. I said, do you have to tell your boyfriend when you fuck someone else? I said, does he lick your butt? I said, does he come multiple times? I said, is his dick bigger than mine? She said, yeah, it's fatter. She said, he doesn't have sex multiple times. He's one of those wait for a week kind of guys. And I don't think he even does butt stuff. Yeah, okay. Sure thing, honey. That sounds really cool. Your boyfriend doesn't do butt stuff? That's really cool. And he makes you tell him when you're going to be with someone else. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I know that's hypocritical. I know that her and I had an arrangement that you have to tell the other when you're with someone else. And by the time we were broken up, but still spoke to each other, and I said, does he make you ask permission to be with someone else? She said, well, I have to tell him. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. Because by that time, I realized that if you're truly in an open relationship, you actually don't have to tell them. It's actually no one's business, for real. Stay the fuck out of someone's business, you fucking retard. You know, that's kind of the attitude. If you truly believe your love loves you, you're not going to be like, well, who is it? Let me eye him up. Let me see. Let me have control. You're not going to be like that. It's out of jealousy that you do that to begin with. You would never say, who are you hanging out with? Were you hanging out with a new friend? Who was it? You would never say that. If you did that to a friend, your friend would go, you're fucking insane. You're a psychopath for real. So, ultimately the goal would be polyamory, like I used to have in my Toronto house. And I would have the higher EQ to make it actually work, because I did have, there were people I liked. There were 3 girls I liked who were there on the regular. There was DFB, who and then there was DFB I had a little bit of sexy time with, but not really much. And I could have had more probably. And then there was Graylin. And then, but I had a bit of sexy time with her too, but not really that much. And it was just for politics reasons. Well, what will her boyfriend think? And it's going to make things really icky here because her boyfriend is my best friend. And then there was my pig. And then there was my best friend's girlfriend, his other girlfriend, who wasn't that hot, so I, slammed her. And so I did have regular girlfriends, but I didn't have the EQ to really manage it. And my dad said, you're not actually psychologically prepared to have a girlfriend as hot as you have. And when I said that, I was like, yeah, I guess you're right, but at the same time, and I guess that's true. I was going to say at the same time, if she wasn't a fucking spineless liar, I mean, on some level, I have to say that. If she wasn't a polygamist, I wouldn't have sabotaged the relationship. Basically, the more she would lie, I would say that's fine. I'll just get high all day. You want to lie to me? I'll just be a disgusting piece of shit. And that devolved my EQ to the point where I couldn't handle her. So my dad, he was right. But at the same time, she was a fucking hypocrite. But she was juicy. Oh my God, I'd love to post pictures of her. But ChatGPT says that's illegal. So I said, what if I blur her face? ChatGPT says, don't do it. And ChatGPT says, and if you did it, delete it right away. And I'm like, don't worry, ChatGPT, I'm not a fool. I am responsible, and I am asking you if it's okay first. I'm not like on the verge of doing it and I just can't help myself. I am literally a controlled person. I do have self-control. But man, was she juicy. Ooh, she was a big fucking Clydesdale juicer. She was tits on a stick with an ass too. Ridiculous. You'd have to go to Miami to find a girl like her. And we fucked all the time. It's all we did. It was the best. And, you know, I hadn't done foreskin restoration at that point, so I really didn't even have access to good orgasms myself, which was a real shame. And, you know, I've never had sex since I've done foreskin restoration. And it's a real shame to think I might die before doing that. And I even thought, you know what, I might actually literally die before I ever have sex again. And what's the whole point of doing foreskin restoration then? And I've thought, don't care about that. Just do it for yourself. You want to be as God made you in this lifetime. You want to see what it's like to have a foreskin in this lifetime. So you should really do that. You should actually really do that. You should really take that seriously. And part of me thinks, yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking that since I've undone my Stockholm Syndrome, that now I'm back in the place to do it. Because before I had Stockholm Syndrome, guess what? I actually was doing it. And I used to actually think that I can't believe how great it is to do this. And I actually cherish the time of regrowing my foreskin. And each time I put another stacker plate in, another 24 millimeters of stretch, I'm actually scared that I'm going to be done one day, and it's so great to regrow it that I'm only going to get to regrow it once. And I'm cherishing each stacker plate, and I got up to 4 stacker plates. Now I'm so dehydrated that I'm only at 1 stacker plate. And it's not that I've lost my gains. It's just like a woman who needs a C-section because she's so dehydrated. It decreases the elasticity in your skin. Now I'm at 0 stacker plates, really. But if I tried, I could do 1 stacker plate, and that would be uncomfortable after a while. Anyways, they have vegan version of this. I got non-vegan by accident once. This is the fucking best. This, oh my God. I do not condone non-vegan food, but if I did, this is fucking restaurant quality. I know rich people who go out to eat at restaurants who get this and say it's as good as a restaurant. You can have this and it's great. This is the fucking best. Oh my God. Anyways, I think that about concludes our talk for today. And anyway, you know what?